Chapter 10, Maeve, Tuesday, March 3rd. If I text you a truth or dare prompt, you have 24 hours to make a choice. I'm at Cafe Contigo with a full hot cup of coffee that's gone ice cold because I keep rereading the About That post with the truth or dare rules. It's 3:15 on a Tuesday, which means I have a little less than 3 hours before the deadline. Not that I care. I'm not doing it, obviously. I was in the middle of the whole Simon mess, and I refused to take part in anything that makes light of what happened. It was a tragedy, not a joke. And it's sick that someone is trying to spin it into a fun game. It won't be Unknown's pawn, and they could do whatever they want in return because I don't have anything to hide. Plus, in the grand scheme of things, who cares about Unknown? I toggle away from About That to key contacts in my list of phone numbers. There are 6 people: my parents, Bronwyn, Knox, and my oncologist. I press my fingertips against the large purple bruise on my forearm and can almost hear Dr. Gutierrez's voice. Early treatment is absolutely critical. That's why you're still here. I dial his number before I could think too much about it, and a woman picks up almost instantly. Ramon Gutierrez's office? Hi, yes. I have a question about, diagnostics. Are you a patient of the doctor? Yes, I was wondering if... I scrunch down to my seat and lower my voice. Theoretically, if I wanted to get some tests run to sort of check my remission status, is that the kind of thing that I could do without my parents being involved if I'm not 18? There's a moment of silence on the other end. Could you tell me your name and your date of birth, please? I grip the phone more tightly in my suddenly sweaty palm. Can you answer my question first? Parental consent is required for treatment of minors, but if you could... I hang up. And that's what I figured. I turn my arm so I can't see the bruise anymore. Last night I found one on my upper thigh, too. Just looking at them fills me with dread. A shadow falls across my table, and I look up to see Lewis standing there. I'm staging an intervention, he says. I blink, confused. Lewis is entirely out of context in the mental space right now, and I had to forcibly shove away thoughts of cancer wars and anonymous texting before I could focus on even him. And even then, I'm not sure I heard it. I don't think I heard it right. What? Remember that outdoors you didn't believe in? I'm going to prove you wrong. Let's go. He gestures towards the door, then folds his arms. After the scene with Mr. Santos and the rude kid yesterday, I kind of can't stop looking at them. Maybe Lewis could do that towel snap another 2 or 3 or 20 times. He waits for a response, then sighs. Conversations usually happen with more than one person, Maeve. I manage to unfreeze my tongue. Go where? Outside, Lewis says patiently, as though he's speaking to a small and not particularly smart child. Don't you have to work? Not till 5. My phone sits on a table in front of me, mocking me with its silence. Maybe if I call again, I'll get a different person and a different answer. I don't know. Come on. What do you gotta lose? He gives me one of his megawatt smiles. And what do you know? I'm on my feet. Like I said, I have no defense against this particular demographic. What did you have in mind in this alleged outdoors? I'll show you, he says, holding open the door. I look left and right when we hit the sidewalk, wondering which way we're gonna walk. But Lewis pauses at a parking meter and starts unchaining a bicycle leaning against it. Is that yours? I ask. No, I pick locks on random bikes for fun, Lewis says, attaching the chain and looping it beneath the bike seat. He flashes me a grin when he's finished. Of course it's mine. We're about a mile from where I want to take you. Okay, but... I gesture at the empty space around us. I don't have a bike. I drove here. You could ride with me. He straddles the bike so he's standing in the front of the seat. Hands on the outer edge of the bars and holding the frame steady. Hop on. Hop where? He just looks at me expectant. You mean the handlebars? Yeah. Didn't you do that when you were a kid? He asks, like he's not talking to someone who spent most of their childhood in and out of hospitals. It's sort of refreshing, especially now, but the fact remains that I don't even know how to ride a bike the normal way. We're not kids, I hedge. I won't fit. Sure you will. I do this all the time with my brothers, and they're much bigger than you are. With Manny? I ask, unable to keep a straight face at the mental image. Lewis laughs too. I meant the younger ones, but sure. I could haul Manny's ass if I wanted to. I keep hesitating, unable to picture how any of this is supposed to work, and his confident smile fades a little bit. Or we could just walk somewhere. No, this is great, I say, because Lewis with a disappointed face is just too weird. People who never get told no are so bad at hearing it. Anyway, how hard could it be, right? The saying, it's just as easy as riding a bike, must exist for a reason. I'll just hop on. I gaze uneasily at the handlebars, which don't strike me as having any seat-like properties, and decide there's no way I could bluff my way through this. How do I do that exactly? He slips into coaching mode without missing a beat. Face away from me and step over the front wheel. With one leg on either side, he instructs. It's a little awkward, but I do it. Put your hands behind you and grab hold of the handlebars. Brace yourself like this. His hands warm and rough, close briefly over mine. Now push down to lift yourself up and... yeah. He laughs, startled, when I rise into one fluid motion to perch onto the handlebars. Even I'm not sure how I did that. You got it. Pro skills. It's not the most comfortable thing I've ever done, and it feels more than little precarious. Especially when Lewis starts pedaling. Oh my god, we're gonna die, I gasp, involuntary, squeezing my eyes shut. But then Lewis's chin is on my shoulder as a cold breeze hits my face. And honestly, there are much worse ways to go. He's a fast and assured cyclist, navigating a non-stop route to the bike path behind Davie Center. The path is wide and almost empty, but every once in a while, a speck appears ahead of us, and then before I know it, Lewis has already passed whoever it is. When he finally slows and says, "Hang on tight, we're about to stop," I see a wrought iron gate and a wooden sign beside it that reads, Bayview Arboretum. My descent is a lot less graceful, but Lewis doesn't seem to notice as he chains the bike to a post. This okay? He asks, pulling a water bottle from the bike's holder and drinking half of it in a few gulps. I thought we could walk around for a while. It's perfect. I don't come here often enough. We start down a smooth gravel path lined with cherry blossom trees that are just starting to bloom. I love it here, Lewis says, shading his eyes against the afternoon sun. It's so peaceful. I come here whenever I need to think. I sneak a glance at him, all bronze skin and broad shoulders, and that quick, easy smile. I never imagined that Lewis was the sort of person who'd go somewhere because he wanted a quiet place to think. What do you think about? Oh, you know, Lewis says seriously. Deep, profound things about humanity and the state of the universe. I have those kinds of thoughts all the time. I tilt my head at him, eyebrows raised and in a go-on gesture, and he meets my eyes with a grin. I'm not having any right now, though. Give me a minute. I smile back. It's impossible not to. How about when you're not pondering existential crisis? What sort of ordinary things do you worry about? Staying on top of everything, he says instantly, like I have a full load of classes this semester plus extra practicum because I'm trying to graduate early. I work 20 to 30 hours a week at Contigo, depending on how much my parents need me. And I still play baseball every once in a while, just pick up games with guys from school. Nothing like the schedule I was on when I played at Bayview with Cooper, but we're trying to get a league together. Oh, and I help out with my brother's little league team sometimes. It's all good, but it's a lot. Sometimes I forget where I'm supposed to be, you know? I don't know. When Lewis was at Bayview, I thought all he did was just play sports and go to parties. I had no idea how much you have going on, I say. He glances towards me as we approach a rose garden. It's early in the season of spring, and most buds are just starting to open, but a few show-offs are in full bloom already. Is that a polite way of saying you thought I was a dumb jock? Of course not. I stare at the roses so I don't have to meet his eyes, because I totally did. I always thought Lewis was nice enough, but by Bayview athlete standards, especially when he stood by Cooper when the rest of Cooper's friends turned on him their senior year, but not much else. Except gorgeous, obviously. He's always been that. And now he's tossing out all these hidden depths and making himself even more appealing, which is frankly a little unfair. It's not like my crush needs more encouragement. I just didn't realize you had your life figured out already. I tell him, I'm impressed. I don't really. I just do stuff and just see how it goes. You make it sound so easy. I can't keep the wistful tone out of my voice. What about you? Lewis asks. What do you spend your time about thinking? Lately? You. Philosophical underpinnings of Western civilization, obviously. Obviously. That goes without saying. What else? Dying? I catch myself before it slips out, trying to keep the conversation a little less morbid. Maeve. Whether something is horrifying, we're going to be texted to hundreds of classmates in, about 2.5 hours. God, it hits me. All of a sudden, that Lewis has been nothing but straightforward with me, and I can't manage to tell him a single true thing. I'm too wrapped up in self-doubt and secrets. It's not a trick question, Lewis says, and I realize that I've been silent all the way through the rose garden. We're in a mini meadow of wildflowers, all bright colors and tangled greens, and I still haven't told him what I spend my time thinking about. You could say anything. Music, cat memes, Harry Potter, empanadas. He shoots a grin at me. Me? My stomach does 2 flips that I try to ignore. You caught me. I was just wondering how many flowers it would take to spell your name without your name and rose petals across the lawn. 15, Lewis says instantly. Then he gives me a look of wide-eyed innocence when I snort. What? It's a very common occurrence. The gardeners won't even let me come here during peak season. My lips twitch. Tienes el ego por las nubes, Luis, I say. And he smiles. His hand brushes against mine, so quickly that I can't tell if it's on purpose or by accident. Then he says, You know, I almost asked you out last year. My entire body goes hot. And I'm positive I heard him wrong until he adds, Coop didn't want me to, though. My pulse starts fluttering wildly. Cooper? I blurt out. What the hell? My love life or lack thereof, and none of Cooper's damn business. Why? He laughs a little. He was just trying to be protective. Not a fan of my track record with girls when we were in school. And he didn't think I was serious about making a change. We're halfway past the wildflowers, and Lewis glances at me sideways. I was, though. My breathing gets shallow. What does that mean? I ask. I guess. It's a perfect valid question, especially since he's the one who brought it up. Or I could just say what's running through my head right now, which I wish you'd follow through. Want to try again? Instead, I find myself forcing out a laugh and saying, Oh well, you know Cooper. He always has to be everyone's dad, doesn't he? Father knows best. He shoves his hands into his pockets. Yeah. His voice is low and threaded with what almost sounds like a disappointment. I guess he does. Bronwyn used to tell me when we were younger that I had crushes on unattainable boys because they were safe. You like the dream, not the reality, she'd say. So you could keep your distance. And I'd roll my eyes at her because it's not like she ever had a boyfriend back then either. But maybe she had a point, because all I could bring myself to say is, well, thanks for the intervention. You were right. I needed it. Anytime, Lewis says, sounding like his usual carefree self. It hits me with dull certainty that if there was any chance for something to happen between us, I just let it pass. After dinner, I'm restless and anxious. There are now 3 items on my list of things I can't stand to think about. Nosebleeds and bruises, the truth or dare prompt that's hitting its deadline in 15 minutes, and the fact that I'm utter emotional coward. If I don't want to do something that at least feels productive, I'm going to crawl right out of my skin. So I take out my laptop and perch on my window seat, then plug my earbuds into my phone and call Knox. Is there a reason you're using voice technology? He asks by the way of greeting. This is such a disconcerting mode of communication. It's weird trying to keep a conversation rolling without nonverbal cues or spell check. Nice speaking with you too, Knox, I say dryly. Sorry, but I'm on my laptop and I need my hands free. You could let the conversation lapse at any point. I type a bunch of search terms into Google and add, have you ever wondered how someone can block their number from showing up in a text? Is that a radical question? Or are you going to tell me? I'm going to look it up right now. I wait a few beats until my screen fills. There are 3 ways according to WikiHow. Are you sure WikiHow is the authority on the subject? It's a starting point. I clear my throat. To be honest, it's embarrassing to remember how 18 months ago, I was hacking into Simon's About That control panel to grab evidence the police had missed, and now I'm Googling WikiHow entries. I wish I understood mobile technology half as well as computer and network systems. So this says you could use a messaging website, an app, or an email address. Okay, and this is helpful how? It's foundational knowledge. The more important question is, how do you trace a number from an anonymous message? I frown at my screen. Ugh, the top Google result is from 3 years ago. Not a good sign. Knox is quiet for a while as I read, and then he says, Maeve, if you're worried about unknown, then maybe you should just text back dare. Those are harmless. Jules kissing Nate was not harmless at all. True that, Knox concedes. But it could have been in different circumstances. If Nate and Bronwyn were solid, she might have been annoyed at Jules planting on her boyfriend, but she would have gotten over it. She wouldn't have been mad at him for it anyway. Or Jules could have picked someone else and made it into more of a friendly thing. Like a kiss on the cheek. His voice turns musing. Or maybe that would have been considering cheating the game. A window pops onto my screen and I pause. It's a ping me alert. The website you are monitoring has been updated. I've been getting these constantly for Vengeance is Mine on both my phone and my laptop, and I'm starting to regret setting it up. There's nothing useful, just lots of creepy venting. At least Jellyfish seems to have calmed down lately. Still, I open a new browser tab anyway and type in the familiar URL. This time, there's a string of posts by someone named Darkest Mind, and as soon as I see the name, I recognize it. I recognize it as the person who picked my interest in the first place, the one who mentioned Simon at Bayview. Knox, I say eagerly. Darkest Mind is posting again. Huh? Who's doing that? On the Revenge Forum, I say, and I hear Knox sigh through the phone. Are you still stalking that place? Shh, I'm reading. I scan the short string of posts. Cheers to all of us who are getting shit done this week. And by us, I mean Bayview 2020 and me. Tip for the initiated. Don't screw with us. He's talking about Bayview again, I report. Or more specifically, someone who has Bayview in their username. I'll bet it's someone who goes to school with us. Or now. This is just a thought, but hear me out. Maybe it's a weird Simon fanboy who uses the name because they're a weird Simon fanboy. Which we know because they're hanging out with a weird Simon fanboy sub-forum, Knox says. I take a screenshot of the post before hitting refresh. Are you being sarcastic? I say mildly. I'm not surprised Knox isn't taking me seriously. Bronwyn didn't either until my research made national news with Mikhail Powers investigates. Very. When the page reloads, I yell so loudly and triumphantly, and that Knox lets out a muted ow on the other end of the line. Aha! I knew it, I say, my chest thumping with excitement. There's a new post from Darkest Mind, and listen to what it says. I've always wanted to out Simon, and damn it. I think I have. More to come soon. Tick-tock. Tick-frickin' clock, Knox. That's exactly what Unknown says when they're getting ready to send another Truth or Dare prompt. It's the same person. Okay. That is admittedly interesting, Knox says. Could it be a coincidence, though? No way. There are no coincidences when it comes to this sort of thing. He mentioned Simon, too. So there's that whole gossip as a weapon connection. This is our guy. Great. So now what? How do you figure out who Darkest Mind actually is? Some of my excitement ebbs away. Well, that's phase 2, obviously, and I'll get to that later. His voice fades, like he's holding his phone at a distance. Oh yeah, sorry, I'll be right there. He returns at a normal volume. I have to go, I'm at work. You are? I ask, surprised. Don't you have play rehearsal tonight? Yeah, but there's a ton going on at Until Proven, and my understudy could use the practice, so I skipped. Knox says it like it's no big deal, but I can't remember him ever missing a rehearsal before. Listen, Maeve, it's almost 6, so if you're gonna text back Dare, now would be the time. No way, I told you I'm not playing their game. Even as I say it, though, I swallow hard, and I look at the clock on my laptop. 5:59. I can't tell if Knox is answering size frustrated or resigned. Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. Chapter 11. Phoebe, Tuesday, March 3rd. Emma, the queen of punctuality, is late. I've been standing at her locker for 5 minutes after last bell, and there's no sign of her. We're supposed to go get Owen's spelling bee together. Presenting a united front so Mom can stay clueless about the fact that we're not speaking. But I'm starting to get the uneasy feeling that my sister has ditched me. 2 more minutes, I decide, and then I'll call it, and walk. I shift a few feet to my right and scan the hallway bulletin board while I wait. Be the kind of person who makes everybody feel like somebody, a rainbow-lettered poster tells me, except someone crossed out somebody and written shit under. Oh, Bayview High, you are nothing if not consistent. A shoulder bumps mine, and I half turn. Sorry, Monica Hill says breezily. She's in her basketball cheerleading uniform, her platinum hair pulled back with a purple and white ribbon. Checking out your ad? It's so nice that you and Emma are going into business together. We're not, I say curtly. I have no idea what she's talking about, and it doesn't matter. Monica is tight with Sean and Brandon, so her fake friendly act doesn't fool me. Besides, she's been trying to steal my best friend for weeks, and succeeding. I guess considering Jules told her about the dare instead of me. Her lips curl into a small smile. Your flyer says different. She reaches across me and taps a familiar pale blue sheet. That says, Emma Lawton tutoring across the top. My sister puts them all over the school, with her phone number and list of subjects. Mathematics, chemistry/biology, and Spanish. But this particular ad says more than that. and a Sharpie scrawled beneath Emma's neat printing. Threesomes. Special offer with Phoebe Lawton. Contact us on Instagram. I swallow against the lump in my throat, and I stare silently at my Instagram handle written across the bottom of the page. Payback from Brandon, I guess, for me throwing him out of the apartment last week. That asshole. There's no way I'm giving Monica the satisfaction of a reaction, though. Whatever I do or say right now is going straight back to Brandon. Don't you have a game to go to? I ask. Then a hand reaches over my shoulder, catching the blue sheet by one corner and yanking it off the bulletin board. I turn to see Emma in her usual headband and Oxford shirt. Her face a smooth mask as she crumples the ad in one palm. "Excuse me," she says, smirking to Monica. "You're trash, and I mean you're blocking the trash." Emma reaches around Monica to toss the paper ball into a recycling bin, then tilts her head toward me, perfectly calm. "Sorry I was late. I had a few questions for Mr. Bowes after history." "Ready to leave?" "Ready." I follow her long strides down the hallway, almost running to keep up. My mind is churning as we go. Does this mean Emma forgives me? Or at least doesn't hate me anymore? "Thanks for that," I say, my voice low as we push through the doors leading to the parking lot. Emma slides me sideways, glance that's not friendly. Exactly, but it's not angry either. "Some people take things too far," she says. "These are limits. There have to be limits." The auditorium at Granger Middle School is exactly like I remember. Stuffy, overly bright, and smelling like a musty fabric and pencil shaving. The front half of the room is filled with folding chairs, and I spot Mom waving energetically from the third row as soon as Emma and I enter. A heavy curtain is pulled across the stage, and a middle-aged woman in a baggy cardigan and knee-length skirt steps through it. "We'll be starting in a few minutes," she calls, but nobody pays attention. Mom keeps waving until we're practically on top of her, then pulls her bag and her coat from the two seats beside her, shifting her knees to one side so we can get past her to take our seats. "Perfect timing," she says. My mom looks so pretty today. Her dark hair spilling around the autumn-toned scarf that makes her olive skin glow. The sight of it cheers me up, because it reminds me of what my mother was like when I went to Granger Middle School. Always in the best-dressed parent at every school event. Mom has a lot of natural style, but she hasn't made much of an effort since Dad died. Working on Ashton and Eli's wedding has definitely been good for her state of mind. She plucks lightly at Emma's sleeve and adds, "I could use your help with a couple of wedding tasks." Emma and Mom put their heads together, and I surreptitiously take out my phone. Emma actually talked to me on the ride over, and I didn't want to spoil our fragile truce by checking Instagram, but I need to know how much shit is getting notifications. There's so many of them, they flood my screen as soon as I pull up my account. So, a lot. My last post was a work selfie that got 20 comments, and now it has more than 100. I read the first one. "Yes, hi, sign me up for Threesome 101, please," and immediately click away. "Welcome, families, to Granger Middle School's annual spelling bee." My heart is already thudding against my ribcage, and the loud voice booming through a microphone ratchets it up another notch. It's the same woman who spoke before us, standing behind a lectern on one corner of the auditorium stage. 10 kids, Owen included, are arranged in a line besides her. Let me introduce the scholars who will be dazzling you with their spelling prowess today. First up is our only 6th grader in the contest, Owen Lawton. I clap loudly until the principal moves on to the next kid, then return my attention to my phone. It's like I just yanked off a bandage, and now I can't help but poke the wound beneath. I set my Instagram account to private, which I obviously should have done a week ago. I scroll to my message requests. They're full of guys I don't know begging me to tutor them. One of them just puts a phone number. Does that ever work? Has any girl in the history of the world texted a stranger because he slid his digits into her DMs? I'm about to hit decline all and erase them from my account forever when a name at the bottom of the screen catches my eye. Derek Culpepper 01. Hi, it's Derek. That's all I could see without opening the message. Ugh, what does Emma's ex want? We haven't spoken since the night in Jules' laundry room. We never exchanged numbers, obviously, or he wouldn't be going through Instagram now. If he's going to apologize for telling someone about us, I don't care. Too late now. I decline all again. But my curiosity gets the better of me. Hi, it's Derek. I was hoping we could talk sometime. Can you text me? With a phone number. Well, that raises more questions than it answers. I cut my hands around my phone so it blocks the screen from Emma's line of sight to navigate to Derek's profile. He has literally no selfies. His entire Instagram feed is pictures of food or his dog. Who does that? It's not as he's terrible looking, just sort of unmemorable. Emma coughs lightly, and I sneak another look at her. I would rather chop my own arm off and beat myself senseless with it than talk to Derek Culpepper again. And I'm pretty sure Emma feels the same way. That leaves Derek as the only person in our twisted triangle who's interested in reopening the channels of communication, and nobody cares about him. And now let's begin with our first word of the day for Owen Lawton. Owen, can you spell bizarre for us, please? I look up just in time to catch Owen's eye as he grins, and he gives me what he thinks is a stealthy thumbs up. I put my phone away and try to smile back. A couple hours later, Mom was at the Golden Rings wedding planner meeting, and Emma and I are in our room. I'm stretched out on my bed with a textbook on my lap, and Emma is at her desk with headphones on, her head bobbing silently to whatever music she's playing. We're not being social exactly, but everything feels less tense than it has for a while. A knock sounds on our door, and Owen peeks his head in. Hey, I say, sitting up. Congratulations again, Brainiac. Thanks, Owen says modestly, as Emma pulls her headphones off. It wasn't really a contest, though. Nobody else at that school could spell. Alex Chen made a solid showing, Emma points out. Owen looks unconvinced. You'd think an 8th grader would know how to spell parallel, though. He perches onto the edge of my bed and angles toward me. Phoebe, I forgot to tell you. His glasses are a mess of smudges, so I pull them off and wipe the lenses with the hem of my t-shirt. His eyes look unfinished without them. You have to invite your friend over, Knox or something. I have to what? I blink in surprise as he puts his glasses back on. He settles them unevenly on his nose. How do you know Knox? Oh, I met him at Cafe Contigo. He plays Bounty Wars, Owen says, like that's all the explanation I should require. Emma wrinkles her brow at me. You know, you and Knox Myers are friends? We're friend adjacent, I say. She nods approvingly. He seems like a good guy. He is, I say, and I turn back to Owen. Why do you want to invite Knox over? So we could play Bounty Wars. We talked about it at Cafe Contigo, Owen explains, and now all of this is starting to make sense. My brother misreads social cues a lot. Knox was probably just being nice, asking about Owen's favorite game while he waited for our food to be ready. I don't know Knox well, but he seems that type, the sort of boy parents love because he's friendly to kids and old people, polite, clean-cut, and completely non-threatening. It really confused me when I realized he and Maeve were going out a while back, because they made such an odd couple. She's the subtle kind of pretty that slides under the radar, But once you start noticing her, wonder how you missed it. Maybe it's the eyes. I never seen that dark honey color on anyone else. Or the way she sort of glides around Bayview High like she's just passing through and doesn't worry about the same kind of stuff the rest of us do. No wonder Luis Santos can't take his eyes off her. Them I could see together. They match. It's a shallow way of looking at things, but that doesn't make it less true. Knox has potential, though. Add a few pounds, get a better haircut, amp up the confidence, and wham, Knox Myers could be a heartbreaker someday. Just not yet. Owen is still looking at me expectantly. Knox and I aren't really the kind of friends who go to each other's houses, I tell him. His lower lip just juts out in a pout. Why not? You let Brandon come over? My chest constricts, and at the memory of Brandon's slimy tongue trying to invade in my mouth. That's not Brandon Weber? Owen and I both jump up as Emma's voice spikes an octave. That creep was in our apartment? Why? I don't answer, and her expression gradually morphs from horrified to thunderous. Oh my God, is that who you've been hooking up with lately? Can we not do this right now, I say, with a pointed glance toward Owen. But Emma's face has gone red and splotchy, which is always a bad sign. She yanks her headphones from around her neck and stands up, stalking me, like she's about to shove me across my bed into a wall. I almost flinch before she stops a foot away, hands on her hips. Jesus Christ, Phoebe, you're such an idiot. Brandon Weaver is a piece of shit who doesn't care about anyone except himself. You know that, right? I gape at her, hurt and confused. I thought we were finally getting past the Derek situation, and now she's mad at me about Brandon. Did she? Oh my God. Oh, please no. Were you involved with Brandon too? I burst out. Her mouth drops open. Are you for real? I would never. Can you honestly think? No, of course you can't. That's the problem, isn't it? You don't think. You just do whatever you want. She goes back to her desk, piling her notebook on top of her laptop and hugging them both to her chest. I'm going to the library. I can't get anything done in this shithole. She leaves, slamming the door behind her, and Owen stares after her. Are you guys gonna stop being mad at each other? He asks. I let my shoulders slump, too tired to pretend I don't know what he's talking about. Eventually. Probably. He kicks his legs back and forth so his sneakers scuff against the floor. Everything's ruined, isn't it? He asks, his voice so low it's barely audible. Our whole family. We've been since Dad died. Oh, and no! I wrap an arm around his thin shoulders and pull him toward me. But he's so stiff that he just leans uncomfortably against my side. Everything in me aches as it hits me. All of a sudden, how long it's been since I've hugged my brother. Or my sister. Of course we're not ruined. We're fine. Emma and I are just going through a rough stage. Even as the words leave my mouth, I know they're too little, too late. I should have been comforting Owen for the past 3 years, not just the past 3 minutes. Owen disentangles himself from my arm and gets to his feet. I'm not a little kid anymore, Phoebe. I know when you're lying. He opens the door and slips through, shutting it more quietly than Emma did, but still as empathetically. I flop down on my bed and stare at the clock on my wall. How is it only 7 o'clock? This day has been going on forever. A text tone chimes from somewhere in the depths of my tangled comforter. I don't have the energy to sit up, so I just root around with one hand until I find my phone and drag it a few inches to my face. Unknown. No response from our latest player. That means you forfeit, Maeve Rojas. Now I get to reveal one of your secrets in true about that style. My eyes go wide. Maeve didn't tell me she'd been picked. Even though we've been hanging out at school lately, that girl is either seriously reserved or has an avoidance issues. Maybe both. Still, there's nothing to worry about. Maeve isn't full of embarrassing secrets like me. Unknown will probably just rehash the old story about her puking in some basketball player's basement when she was a freshman. Or maybe it'll be about her crush on Lewis. Although, that's so glaringly obvious that it doesn't really qualify as a secret. Either way, I wish the text would come through so I could stop obsessing over this stupid game. And then it does. Unknown's latest piece of gossip fills my screen. I blink 5, 6, or maybe even 7 times, but I still can't believe what I'm seeing. No. No way. Oh no. Oh hell no. The OMG what? Messages start pouring in so fast I can't keep up with them. I bolt upright and scramble to press on Maeve's number, but she doesn't pick up. I'm not surprised right now. There's another call that she'd better be making.